I'll start with my offbeat question first. You were part of the 905 championship team last year. They're about to start their playoff run. How valuable of an experience was that for you as you look back on it?
It was really valuable. I think I've been in postseason play my whole life. Whether it's growing up as a kid, AAU tournaments, and high school, you got your state championship. But this is like the first time that's a series, right? I mean, they changed it this year to a one-game thing, I think, until the finals. But that was my first experience as like playing in a series. So I got there in the second game of the finals, played the last two. So it was a different feel, and it was just another experience to put under my belt.
Fred, a couple of point guards are being inducted into the Hall of Fame in the news just now, Jason Kidd and Steve Nash. What are your thoughts and memories of them watching them growing up?
It's amazing. I still feel like a kid, you know what I mean? So to see those guys go into the Hall of Fame must mean I'm growing up a little bit. Those are two of the staples of my childhood, watching point guards. Two of the best passers to ever play. Obviously, just the way they ran their teams. And they kind of dominated an era, for point guards, and it set a trend. And, obviously a ton of respect for those two guys, and it's an amazing accomplishment.
Were there parts of their games that you tried to emulate?
Yeah, for sure. I try to take some for a little bit of everybody, you know what I mean? I wore number 5 as a kid because of Jason Kidd, you know what I mean? No pun intended, but just the way he was flashy passing. I like Steve Nash under the rim, ability. Obviously, that favors me, and just the craftiness, the way they were able to score still. Both of those guys were great scorers and great passers, and just the way they ran their teams was something that I definitely took a lot out of.
With Steve specifically, that midgeting play where he kind of keeps the dribble alive through the paint, I mean, that's something, a big part of your game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of made it cool, you know what I mean? I don't know if he was the first person to do it, but he's definitely the first person I remember seeing. And he kind of made it okay to dribble the air out the ball a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Just keep looking, because we knew that he wasn't being selfish about it. He was looking for the best play and the right play and keeping the defense honest. And if you don't have a high percentage shot to throw it up there, just dribble it back out, you get something good. And he's probably the best I've seen at it. So definitely I study a lot of his film to see where he picks his spots in that.
I think it's the other one, him and Amari Stoudemire with those little pocket passes.
Yep.
It seemed revolutionary at the time, but
right. I mean, look at the game today, and that's all you see is the Nashes and the pocket passes for guys going up for dunks. And I think Chris Paul and Blake Griffin had a good rhythm with that in LA a couple years ago. So yeah, those guys changed the game, and it's not an exaggeration to say that the two of those point guards together definitely changed the way that we play the game today.
Steve recently said that had he played today, like he probably would have shot more, and that was sort of because he had that point guard's mentality. How much has the role of point guard changed from when you watched it to like what you are and what Kyle is and what everybody around the league is?
I'm living it right now, honestly, man. And I feel him when he says that, because I never shot the ball really. You know what I mean? I was always looking to pass, trying to find the greatest shot on every possession, trying to get everybody involved. And now there's times where I'm in the game and I'm like, damn, I haven't passed it in a while. You know what I mean? Every time I catch it, I'm shooting it. Or I look at the box score and I got 12 points and no assists, you know what I mean? But that's just the way the game's going, and you have to keep everybody honest. It's kind of turned into a positionless game where, if you catch the ball, you better be able to make a play. And sometimes the only play is to score if the defense isn't respecting you, they're not collapsing. The best shot is a lot of times is your shot now.
Every game is important, but, the next 3, looking at the standings, do they take on special significance knowing what they could mean for the playoffs?
Yeah. I mean, we're not shying away from them. We know what they mean, and it's more simple than that is the other, great teams in the conference. Boston's been right there, 1-2 all year. Cleveland, obviously, we know what they bring to the table. So, it's the other 2 kind of powerhouses of the Eastern Conference, so they're always big games. And, add in the little playoff chase at the end, which is not the end-all, be-all, but, it adds some extra, significance, I think, to the games. But all 3 teams, the win and loss doesn't, make or break anything, you know what I mean? I think we get a little carried away with the media in these last 2 weeks getting ready for the playoffs, trying to make every game a Game 7. Just, you guys hang on a little bit. There'll be some important games in a month.
Our bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Boston, and they seem to, their record in close games is very good. They seem to find ways to win. in tight games, especially on the road. What do you observe of their character as a group that seems to allow them to succeed? Injuries and all that?
Irish, man. That's what it's got to be. I don't know. No, I was just talking about it this morning. I don't know if it's because they're on TV so much or like every TV game they always win a buzzer beater, but it just feels like they have the most, and they might have the stat, do they?
They have like 5-game go-ahead baskets in the last 5
that
seconds.
leads the league, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're unbelievable, you know, in late game situations. And like I said, they got a lot of young guys who have gotten experience, and with injuries and whatever the situation's been, guys have been stepping up for them. So they kind of hang around, and then the last 4 minutes they're down 8, and you feel like they're winning. You know what I mean? You just know that they're going to pull it out. So give them a lot of credit. They've been able to excel in those late game scenarios this year. And, you know, hopefully they used all of their magic up in the regular season.
They're one of the few teams that still seems to keep the score a little bit low, maybe keep the possessions down a little bit. Do they actually try to control the tempo of the game differently than other teams?
Yeah, I think it's just the defense. You know what I mean? The way the defense can dictate the game. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league, and then offensively, obviously moving the ball movement pace. They don't really run out a ton in transition, so maybe that's the reason for the pace. But you know, a lot of times the defense can dictate the game, and you know they've been a great team all year.
This time of year, everybody does love to sort of debate who could come out of the East and have these sort of lively debates about it. Do you find yourself being entertained by it at all? Do you tune it out? What do you?
No, I'm not entertained by it at all. Like, not even a little bit. You know, kind of locked in, focused on what we can do. I try not to live in that world, you know what I mean? The social media world, the media world in general. I'll leave that to you guys. But you know, I'm a basketball fan, you know what I mean? You know, I want to see us come out of the East, you know what I mean? I like to look at the West and see what happens out there. But in the East, you know, we're locked into what we got to take care of, and just try to finish up down the stretch and be playing our best basketball.
What else has to be accomplished by you guys in this what's on the to-do list that you want to check off before opening game 1?
I'll just get better. There's no milestone marker or anything. I know people talk about the 60 wins. You know, if we get it, that's great. Obviously, we're not going into any game trying to lose, but we want the 1 seed, and we want the best record that we can have. And more important than all of that stuff, we just want to be playing good basketball going into the postseason, feeling good about ourselves. We had a little slippage with the defense. I felt like the Denver game was a little better, and we just got to keep trending upwards and like I said, be feeling good about our play going into April.
I mean, you mentioned the year. At the beginning of the year, everyone thought the year was going to be so predictable, right? It was going to be Golden State, Cleveland, end of story. Who knows how well it'll end up, but it's been a very rocky ride to get to wherever it ends up. I mean, Golden State's been through a lot, Cleveland's been through a lot, Boston's been through a lot. You guys have kind of snuck up on a lot of people.
Yeah,
Not a typical year, even though.
Yeah, I think it's a typical year. I think it's just we create these narratives ourselves, and whoever made the Golden State Cleveland thing made it that way. So now when regular stuff happens and guys go through injuries, and Cleveland had a bad stretch with a team that wasn't really clicking, they made some trades, and now it feels like they're right back to where they were. Those are normal things that a team goes through, and we just had this juggernaut thing we thought was going to happen. But you know, there's a lot of grown men on these teams who have pride, and a lot of damn good basketball players in the NBA who have something to say about it. And you know, obviously we're trying to do our part to mess up that story.